You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast, our final episode before the 2025 Arkansas Razorback baseball season gets going tomorrow, Friday at noon. Reminder to everyone, we will be doing a Baumbastic watch-along here on the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel here at the Baumbastic Podcast. Our Inside Arkansas live show will start at 11 a.m. tomorrow on Friday. So tune into that if you want to check that out. Hear Curtis talk some basketball. We'll get some thoughts in there. But then at noon, we will start a new stream. It's already scheduled on YouTube. You can already check it out and all that. We will be live watching and reacting to Arkansas's 2025 campaign beginning of the season. Of course, by the way, I do want to clarify because in case anyone's confused, I cannot, due to rules and just the way the world works, I cannot put the game on here. So you're going to have to just look at my face and watch my reaction to the game. But ideally, for those of you that are working from home, or if you're, really feeling yourself and you're watching on your computer at work or whatever, you have the game up and you have this up on your phone or your laptop or whatever. So it's basically like we'll be watching the game together. And of course, it'll be live. So there will be a comment section. Tons of people will be commenting, hopefully. So I appreciate anyone who, is able to make room and able to make that happen and pull up at the watch party. I'm really excited about that, hoping that it kind of catches on. And if it's a huge success, who knows? Maybe we'll do it Saturday. Maybe we'll do it Monday. Maybe this will become a little bit more of a regular thing. I'm definitely planning on doing it for some midweek games, but I did want to just continue to get that on you guys' radar. I really can't wait for that and can't wait to talk about this Razorback baseball team, and you guys get to see them in action, and we can all talk about it together and experience this fun journey of the Razorback baseball season as a whole community. Before we get into today's episode, which is, of course, a season prediction edition, I'm not going to do every single game of the regular season. I'll give you that full rant here in a minute. But before we get into it, I want to give a shout out, of course, to our boys over at Alumni Hall. Guys, baseball season's here. Cold weather's here. If you're going to bomb this weekend, you need to make sure you're bundled up. And if you're trying to get bundled up with some Razorback gear, with blankets, t-shirts, hoodies, jackets. I saw a beautiful Columbia jacket in there the other day that I had my eye on. Also, if you want to get the new jerseys, new hats, whatever it is, whatever type of merch you want, Alumni Hall has it. It's where Razorback fans go to shop. It is the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. You can check them out over at 3417 North College Avenue. Or if you're not in the area or you can't get out to the store today, whatever the case may be, go to this website right here, insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. That will take you right to their online store, and you can purchase whatever you want from there. And we would greatly appreciate that. So check those guys out. They're very good to us. You've heard me talk about them a good bit. Alumni Hall, it's where Razorback fans go to shop. All the greatest brands and stuff too, man. Like, they have the most diverse selection, and it's legit brands. It's not no middle of the mall Walmart stuff. It's legit. It is the best Razorback shopping experience for my money. So definitely go check those guys out. Again, that's insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. And again, guys, I also want to be annoying and say, everyone make sure you're subscribed to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. For one, I think we do great work. If you've been keeping up with what we've been doing, whether it's Pod of the Palace, Baumbastic, Pod of that nature with football, or Inside Arkansas Live Daily Show. We've also got the Intern Podcast up and running now with Reagan. I know some people love the Razorback updates. I just feel like it's the best one-stop shop for all things Razorback athletics. And if you're tuning into the show and maybe it's your first time, whatever, check it out, see if you like it, give us a thumbs up, all that, rate and review. We love that. But I noticed yesterday, I was looking at, I look at analytics of view counts and all these different things. 33% of the people who watched yesterday's Baumbastic Podcast were not subscribed to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. Obviously, that, that makes sense. You're always going to have some percentage, but 1 in 3 of you guys that are listening are not subscribed to the show. So make sure you're subscribed. And again, we go live all the time, whether it's for breaking news, whether it's for post-game shows. Curtis and I do the Pod at the Palace post-game show for every basketball game, which we will do on Saturday. But make sure you're ready and you know what's happening when stuff's popping off, when we are putting our shows together, when we are doing anything at Inside Arkansas, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, reacting to transfer portal news, whatever. Just make sure that you're tapped in and you're ready to roll and that you know what we have going on. And so, yeah, everybody make sure you subscribe there. Of course, also subscribe wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatever the case may be. And before we get to the season predictions, I promise I'm going to do it. I've filibustered here for a little while. We will do the SEC record predictions. I'm going to go game by game through the SEC, predict that for you guys. Again, I want to just put this up here because this is in writing, and you see the timestamps and all that of when we will be going live. Of course, I mentioned this earlier, 11 a.m. Inside Arkansas Live, then noon, Baumbastic doubleheader watch along. The current plan is to do all 18 innings or however long they play. If it doesn't catch on, if not a ton of people are watching, maybe it'll just be one game, whatever. We will see. But then Saturday, get ready, clear your schedule. We're doing it right all over again. I know a lot of you will obviously be working or doing whatever, going to school on Friday. So maybe Saturday is the day that you can really tap in. At 11 a.m., Arkansas will be playing Texas A&M in basketball. We will be doing a live watch-along, Pot at the Palace, Curtis, John, and I. And then at 1 p.m.-ish, we will be doing the Pot at the Palace post game, which should take you right into the 2:00 baseball game, which is currently scheduled on Saturday. I will not be doing a live watch along for that unless Friday is just a massive success. Maybe I can be talked into it. My plan for Saturday is to actually go to Baum, check out the games, see, hopefully it won't be too bad of weather. And then I will have some type of post game reaction. It'll probably be a shorter video, not a full hour-long post-game show, but we will have some type of quick report from Baum-Walker Stadium coming Saturday, later in the night, probably 5:36. But that's just kind of the tentative schedule. And so now on to our season prediction. So, okay, I want to talk about this for a second. I want to plead my case a little bit because I know a lot of people go game by game, literally do every single game of the schedule, which makes sense. Like, I get it why you do that. We all kind of do season predictions of some sort for football. We've been doing them, every year. I've done some version of football season predictions. A lot easier when there's 12 games. I'll just say it's a lot easier to really do the game by game. If you guys really, if y'all comment and you're like, Andrew, we need you to talk about the non-conference slate, I'll do it tomorrow on the watch along because there'll be a lot of time to kill. Maybe I'll do that in between there. Personally, when you're talking about a 60 game season, one, can we all agree it's kind of pointless to do every game? Because obviously it's like, are you going to hold me to it? Like how many games within my prediction do I need to get right for me to like do a victory lap? It's obviously I'm going to miss a lot of these predictions. It's impossible to predict baseball game to game anyway. Even when you're just talking about a 3-game series, it's like, oh, who knows what can happen across 3 games? What can happen with pitchers and all that? And of course, when you're prognosticating, it's always tough. No, even if it's just one game, it's tough to predict stuff. But I feel like over the course of a 60-game season, one, you're going to have games get rained out. You're going to have games get canceled. You're going to have games get postponed. It's always kind of tough to do this anyway, especially when you're talking about some of these non-conference games, when you're throwing in midweeks and who Arkansas might be throwing in some of those games. So, I can give it a good whirl for you guys if you want. And hell, if y'all remember, one of my bold predictions is that Arkansas would be one of the final undefeated teams left in college baseball. I said they would be the final. I think they're going to start, I think it was 16-0. When I was looking at the schedule and considering whether or not I would do it, I think I could see Arkansas starting 16-0, which I think would take them through the Portland series, which, by the way, if I'm being honest with you, kind of part of why I didn't want to do it. Because, look, anytime you're making a prediction, you're leaving yourself up for people to come and dunk on you later. So if Arkansas sucks this year, of course, people will come to this and be like, hey, you idiot, you picked them to win this many games or whatever. And if I add in the non-conference games, it's going to be hard for me to pick losses in a lot of those games. Outside of Arlington, there's just really not much tough competition going on there. So if it makes you feel any better, I can only see maybe 2, maybe 3 losses at the most before Arkansas gets into SEC play. So if you want to do the math, you can kind of add up what I'm about to do here for the SEC record, add in what I just said there about non-conference. But for all right, I've wasted enough time. Let's get right into it. So Arkansas opens up SEC play on the road at Ole Miss. That hasn't happened in a while. Last year they opened with Missouri at home. In 2023, I can't remember who they opened up with. They've opened up with Missouri at home a couple times, actually, but it just seems like Arkansas is always at home to start SEC play more often than not. But they are hitting the road this first SEC weekend here in mid-March at Ole Miss, a team that is picked to finish 15th among 16 SEC teams this year, at least according to the coaches. They are not in the top 25. They did not make the NCAA tournament last year. Things have they've been on a little bit of a downward spiral since winning the College World Series in 2022. I actually think this series is going to be a little bit tougher than most people expect. I have Arkansas taking a series win here. I have them winning 2 out of 3, which I'm sure there will be some people who are like, what the hell? You don't have Arkansas sweeping Ole Miss? They suck. Come on, man. And look, maybe they will. I think Arkansas absolutely could win all 3 of these games. But the last time Arkansas went to Oxford in 2023, not quite as good of an Arkansas team, but one that won the SEC regular season title or won the West. And you had a really bad Ole Miss team. Arkansas had to dig deep and fight just to get a series win there. It's hard to go on the road in the SEC no matter who you're playing. But I feel like no matter who it is, Arkansas always has these road series. Like last year against Auburn, that was a super tight, super competitive series. I think Arkansas won 1-0 in game 1, and then it was a back and forth crazy game in game 2, and then Arkansas loses the Sunday game, and people were like freaking out. You go on the road in the SEC, it doesn't really matter who you're playing, man. It's hard to win. I think Arkansas is going to get the job done and win the series here, start off 2-1 in SEC play. But despite Ole Miss being picked so low in the SEC, I think they're going to finish higher than that. I don't think they're that bad. I don't think they're like a threat to win at all or anything like they were a few years ago. But they've got some veterans in their pitching staff. Their 3 weekend starters are guys that have been pitching for them for a while. The lineup should be about average. Like, I just don't think Ole Miss is going to be like a disaster the way that many seem to think they are. But who knows? Maybe they will be. But even if they were the worst team in the SEC, like I said, it's really hard to go out there and just sweep a team on the road in the SEC. I've got Arkansas starting 2-1. Then Arkansas's first SEC home series of the year. By the way, I don't have any like visual aid for you guys here. I'm going to post it. I have it all kind of written out. Once I'm done through the 10 SEC series, I will post it and let you guys look at it. You can screenshot it. You can really dive through it, really assess it from there. But for now, I'm just going to kind of go through the schedule here. So Arkansas's SEC home openers against South Carolina. Again, I have Arkansas being 2-1 going into this, and I have Arkansas sweeping South Carolina. It's hard to sweep teams in the SEC, but Arkansas has done it a good bit here in the last several years. South Carolina is first-year coach with Paul Mainieri, who, of course, had a great tenure at LSU, but when he left LSU, like, he was kind of forced out. One of my best friends, who I'm probably going to have on the pod later in this year, played for Paul Mainieri at LSU, and he basically, the way he had described it to me is like they all kind of knew Paul Mainieri was, his days were numbered, that he had maybe lost his fastball a little bit. So he was not forced out of LSU, but I think it was a very mutual thing where they were like, all right, hey, you're at the end of the road. It's cool. You will go off into the sunset. We'll hire Jay Johnson. We'll be fine. Of course, it worked out for LSU. I was stunned when South Carolina hired Paul Mainieri as their head coach. I just did not see that coming, did not see him getting back into college baseball. And I'm sure they gave him plenty of NIL to work with, but I do not think he is going to have these boys rolling in year one. Definitely not to the point where they're going to come into Baum-Walker Stadium and win a series. I don't even think they're going to win a game. I think Arkansas sweeps this one and improves to 5-1 in SEC play. Could it be closer than that? Absolutely. It's never going to be easy in the SEC, but just on paper, I think Arkansas is going to sweep at least 1 or 2 teams. I think this is one they sweep. And then after that, Arkansas goes on the road to Vanderbilt, who currently in the D1 baseball top 25 is number 16. Vanderbilt's coming off of an underwhelming year. They were pretty good in 2013. I think they beat Arkansas at the end of the year. I can't remember what they finished. I think they went to the NCAA tournament there. Not a great year from Vandy. This is an interesting year for Vandy because in 2021, they were the national runner-ups, lose to Mississippi State in the College World Series finals when they had Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter and all that. They finished under 500 in SEC play in 2023, or in 2022, I should say. 2023, they were a little bit above 500, I believe. Got right back down to below 500 last year. I think they were 13-17 overall in SEC play. This is kind of a make or break year for Tim Corbin. I feel like they've been unseated as like that standard college baseball program in the SEC. I feel like you're starting to see some teams like a Tennessee, LSU's historically always very good. They're right back in that level. They'll be in that mix this year. I think A&M is obviously starting to creep up. Arkansas doesn't have the national championship to justify it, but I think they've surpassed Vanderbilt as a program in the SEC. So if Vanderbilt, who is, again, they're number 16 to start the year, if they go under 500 in SEC play, which is very much in play for any SEC team because you just play such a tough schedule, it starts to really open up some questions about where they're at as a program, if they're really moving with the times in college baseball. And it'll start to, Tim Corbin's a legend. He's without a doubt a Hall of Famer, one of the best coaches we've ever seen in college baseball, done an insanely good job at Vanderbilt. But I think even Vanderbilt fans would admit that there's a lot of pressure on him this year. Not that he's going to get fired or anything like that, but just are you really keeping up with the big dogs in college baseball still at this point? Vanderbilt for so long has, again, kind of been that standard that we all compare ourselves to. I just don't think they're that anymore. And so we'll see if they can get back to prominence this year. I have Arkansas winning this series 2-1. And again, I think it's going to be kind of similar to that Ole Miss one. When you're on the road in the SEC, no matter who you're playing, you're just not going to waltz in there and win all 3 games easily and just, get out of there. It's going to be tough. I think Arkansas is going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to see these guys fight a little bit early in the season. It's not like anyone's going to be firing on all cylinders. I think Arkansas's pitching is such a high floor. And I think that's going to kind of carry them through some of these earlier series in the SEC where teams are starting to figure out. A lot of times you see SEC teams, it takes them till about mid-April to even find out who the 3 guys are that they want to be starting on the weekend. And hell, even for Arkansas, some years it takes that. But I think Arkansas is going to have just high-level arms that are going to be tough to beat week in and week out. I think that'll kind of carry them to a win in this series. But again, I think it's going to be a gutsy one. I don't think it's going to be easy at all. I'm kind of low on Vanderbilt also. I don't think they're actually going to finish in the top 16. I think they're going to be more of that NCAA tournament bubble type of range if I had to guess. But either way, a team like that has some talent, has a legendary head coach, you don't just waltz into their stadium and piece them up easily. I think it's going to be 3 close games. Arkansas will win 2 of them. They've won a series. I don't know if they've won a series in Vanderbilt recently. Matter of fact, no, they've lost their last 2 series there, but they were both pretty close, pretty competitive. I think Arkansas can get over the hump and win there. Great stadium, but I don't think it's necessarily one of the more daunting environments in the SEC. And then returning back home, we're almost to the halfway point here in SEC play. Returning home, Arkansas has Missouri, who, of course, is picked to finish last. They finished last in the SEC damn near every year at this point. Not a serious baseball program. I don't think they care about it. I used to say stuff like that on the pod last year, trying to kind of incite the fan base of like, oh, yeah, they don't care. Couldn't even find a Missouri fan to combat me on it. They don't care about baseball. Ross Lovich's little brother is their best player. Like, come on. Arkansas sweeps this one. They end up, and this is at home also. So, Arkansas is going to be tough to beat at home. Missouri ain't coming in. I don't know how Arkansas keeps getting to play Missouri at home. They went on the road there in 2022, but it feels like Arkansas plays Missouri at home like every year. I'm not going to complain about it. It's an easy ass whip, and we'll all sign up for it. So at this point, I have Arkansas sweeping Missouri. I have Arkansas at 10-2 in the SEC, which is, may sound super optimistic, but I have Ole Miss beating them. I didn't pick a sweep at Vanderbilt. I have them going 4-2 on the road and just sweeping the 2 bad teams they have at home. So at this point, Arkansas would be ranked in the top 2, 3, maybe even number 1 at this point, especially based on what they did in non-conference, which I'm projecting to be pretty good. I think Arkansas would be getting some buzz right here. And so it'd be one of those moments where we're all flying high. Hell, at this same kind of point last year, Arkansas was ranked number 1 before dropping a series to Alabama. So it would be another one of those things where the fan base would be starting to get involved a little bit. Basketball season would be wrapping up. You'd start to see some excited folks in Fayetteville. And then Arkansas would really need, the pressure would be on because, you might have that number 1 ranking. But then the final 6 series in SEC play that I'm about to get to here, number 8 Georgia, number 1 A&M, number 9 Florida, number 19 Texas, number 3 LSU, number 4 Tennessee. 3 of those are on the road. 3 of those are at home. 6 series against top 20 teams. I actually think Texas is a lot better than their number 19 ranking indicates too. These are some bona fide contenders in college baseball right here. Like, this is what can separate the men from the boys. And so I think this is where things really get real for Arkansas. Undoubtedly, Arkansas is going to have a worse record in their final 5 series than they do in their first 5. Like, I think that's just based on who they play, how the schedule lines up. Again, I have Arkansas at 10-2 going into this stretch, but I don't necessarily that's not my way of being like, hey, Arkansas is about to just smoke through all these teams. We're about to get some losses here. In fact, I have Arkansas taking 2 losses at Foley Field in Athens in their 5th SEC series at number 8 Georgia. Wes Johnson is a coach that I think all Razorback fans understand how good he is and what that guy means. He had Georgia as a national seed last year. They did not get to Omaha, but they hosted a regional and a super regional. Can't remember who it was that knocked them off. So maybe Florida State that knocked them off. I can't remember who it was. But Georgia is clearly a program that's kind of a budding contender here in college baseball. I think this is going to be a big year for Georgia to solidify themselves and be like, hey, we're really for real now. This will be year 2 of Wes Johnson. They had such a successful year in year 1 under him. I'm sure they're going to be able to build on it. The roster they put together this offseason definitely would lead you to believe that this ain't no one-hit wonder. Like, they're definitely going to continue to take that ascent forward. They had such a crazy offense last year. Of course, one of the best hitters in the country in Charlie Condone. I think they're going to be a little bit better on the pitching side. Of course, they have one of the better returning starters in the SEC. I think Wes Johnson is just a guy that, when in doubt, believe in that dude for sure. And so I think Georgia's going to have a really good team again. I think that number 8 ranking is probably about fair. Like, I think they're going to probably be in that. Actually, that might even be a little bit high. I think they're probably going to end up in that 10 to 15 range. Like, if I had to guess, they would be a team that is hosting, but maybe not necessarily a national seed. But I think that's going to be just a really tough series on the road. Arkansas is going to be flying high, probably feeling themselves a little bit, reading the headlines a little bit. So I have Arkansas dropping a close series, going 1-2 in this weekend, which would bring their SEC record at this point to 11-4. So still in very good shape, likely near the top of the standings. And then you have a huge home series against the Texas A&M Aggies, who, as of today, are ranked number 1 in just about every poll you see on the internet. Number 1 in the D1 baseball poll. Who knows where they'll be at this point in the season? That is going to be a rocking environment. Again, basketball season will be over by this point. Hog fans will really start to be tapped in. The Baumbastic Podcast will have gone to the moon. By this point, we'll have 10,000 listeners every episode. Like, that's just how it'll be. I kid for the most part. But I think this is a series that's going to have a lot of buzz. Jim Schlossnagel's no longer at A&M, but they still have a ton of talent. They still have Jace Laviolette. They still have Ryan Prager. They still have Gavin Grahovic. They've got some blue chip, big name stars in college baseball. And I think it's going to be an A&M team that has a little bit of an edge about them, where their coach left them after a tough series in the College World Series finals. You get to the final stage. Some teams have that, like, they call it the Super Bowl hangover, where you lose the Super Bowl and it actually derails your next season because you can't stop thinking about, you were almost there and then you did it. Arkansas was able to overcome that, of course, in 2019 when they lost the 2018 College World Series. I think that's going to be something that A&M has to deal with, but the talent's certainly there. We'll see if their culture and their ability to kind of weather the storm is still there without Jim Schlossnagel. But I think it's going to be an A&M team, whether they're number 1, number 3, number 5, number 10. It's going to be a really talented team, really tough series for Arkansas inside Baum-Walker Stadium. I have the Hogs picking up just a series win here. I'm not going to get crazy and predict a sweep. I have Arkansas winning 2-1 in this series, which would bring their overall record in SEC play to 13-5. So still in very good position. Basically, still tracking for a national seed, all that good stuff. And then Arkansas has to go on a tough road trip to Gainesville, who Florida is currently number 9 in the D1 baseball poll. This can be a tough one, and Arkansas has had some fun series in Gainesville over the years. I believe it was 2018. Arkansas wins game 1 with Blaine Knight. Heston Kjerstad hit like a 500-foot home run over the scoreboard, and then they end up dropping the next 2. They got blown out in game 2 and then had a close game in game 3. I think something similar happened in 2022. That would have been where you win game 1, close, competitive, tough, and then Jackson Wiggins and Hagen Smith got roughed up a little bit. Young guys throwing in Florida, tough environment. It's just a tough place to play, tough place to win. Really cool new stadium. Florida, I feel like, is a team that you can kind of argue, are they in that tier 1 or tier 2 in terms of really being a national contender? Florida last year, of course, had one of the more talented teams in the country that preseason had a ton of buzz, underachieved like hell in the regular season. And then they got hot towards the end of the year, end up going to Omaha. Of course, Kevin O'Sullivan, one of the best in the business, one of the best coaches in college baseball. You always kind of give Florida the benefit of the doubt more often than not that they're going to end up being at least competent. I think this is probably going to be a good Florida team. Maybe not one of the all-time great Florida teams. I don't think they're necessarily going to be winning the national title, but I think that number 9 ranking is like pretty accurate. I think Arkansas is going to lose this series here until Arkansas goes into Gainesville and really just brings it to Florida. It's tough for me to envision them playing their best ball there because it seems like there's always one game that just gets away from them there. And then, you're always going to have close games when you have two high-level teams in the SEC. Arkansas had to really dig deep to beat Florida in a series last year. And, of course, that Florida team was playing some really good baseball at that point, and kind of had their backs against the wall. But I think going on the road and winning in Gainesville, that's a tough thing that I'm just not going to predict at this point in time. So I have Arkansas losing this series. That'll be their second series loss, in my opinion. Goes 1-2 on the weekend. That brings them to 14-7 overall. Still in tremendous shape at this point. I mean, if you're that many games above 500, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then Arkansas hosts Texas, which I expect to be one of the most highly attended series of the year. We'll see how the weather looks at that point, but you'll be getting into that late April, early May stretch. The weather should be nice. Everyone should be locked in on baseball. And you've got Texas, your first time facing Texas as an SEC opponent. Jim Schlossnagle, who Dave Van Horn's not a huge fan of. And I don't think Schlossnagle's a huge fan of Dave Van Horn. There's been some tight battles there over the years with him at TCU, him at A&M here the last few years. That's going to be a really fun series. The Horns down. The old fans will be there. That's also going to be Aloha weekend. So our guy Rick Nomura is going to be there. I would imagine a lot of other Hawaiian fans are going to be there. That's going to be awesome. It's just going to be a fun atmosphere. Arkansas wins this series. I'm very high on Texas. Like, I think they're a sleeper to potentially compete for the national title, sleeper to make it to Omaha. I really think they're that good. I respect Jim Schlossnagle a lot. I don't like the guy either. Any enemy of DVH is an enemy of me. But I respect what he's done in the sport. I respect his competency as a head coach and as a program builder. I don't think it's going to take that long for him to get Texas rolling. They've got a couple really talented pieces on their team. They've got a returning catcher that's a preseason all SEC guy. Their shortstop's one of the best shortstops in the country. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting series. I have Arkansas winning the series. The only reason I can't go, I think it's going to be one of those games where, or the one of those series where Baum Walker Stadium really comes alive. I think a lesser team would probably get swept in an environment like this, but I'm really high on Texas, so I can't go that far. I'm going series win. That will bring Arkansas to 16-8. And so at this point in the season, there's two series left. I'm almost done, I promise. There's 2 series left against LSU and Tennessee. Arguably 2 of the best teams you'll play all year, besides maybe A&M, who's ranked number 1, of course. LSU entering the season at number 3. Tennessee entering the season at number 4. And if my predictions hold true, there really hasn't been anything crazy happen. Like, Arkansas has kind of won the series they're supposed to win. They've taken care of business at home, beaten some good teams in A&M and Texas at home, lost a couple series at Georgia and at Florida, which could I'm sure there'll be some fans that aren't going to love that and say, are we sure this team's that good? I know they're ranked number 3 and they've got all these draft picks and all these all SEC guys, but are they really that good? We'll be doing that kind of thing. So I think these last 2 weekends of the season, again, Arkansas will be at 16-8, which should have them kind of in that mix where you might win the SEC regular season title. You'll kind of be looking at some other teams and, we got to win X amount of games and we'll win the thing. Again, I'm sure Razorback fans don't care about winning the SEC regular season title, but that's kind of just where I think Arkansas season is going to end up at. I have them going on the road to LSU and beating LSU in Baton Rouge in a series 2-1. I will be down there for that. I can't wait for that. I'm staying with one of my good buddies. Cannot wait for that series. It's always a fun atmosphere there in Alex Box. And again, I have Arkansas losing some road series. I'm not putting it lightly that I think Arkansas is just going to waltz into Alex Box and cruise their way to a win. It's going to be tough. It's going to take a great effort, but I think you're going to start to see this Arkansas team start to take that next step right around this time. I think they're going to go into Baton Rouge, beat LSU, a really good LSU team that's going to be in the top 5 to 10 all year long. They'll probably be in the top 5 to 10 when this series takes place. This is going to be one that has a lot of eyeballs on it. I think this is going to be like kind of a statement weekend for Arkansas. Like, maybe they win the first 2 and maybe one of them is pretty convincing and where people are like, holy cow, Arkansas is serious, man. Like, this is, watch out for them. And then they'll drop that third game to LSU. Will be in desperation mode there. They'll pull out and win one. But I think it's going to be one of those weekends where people come away. I think it might be one of those weekends where Arkansas gets back up to number 1 in the poll. Like, I think that's going to be kind of the moment we all kind of realize, hey, this team is different. This team can go out there and beat anyone in any given night, any given weekend. They're a tough out. I think they beat LSU again. Like I said, they're 18-9 in SEC play, entering the final weekend against Tennessee, which, again, I said the Texas game is going to be one of the more highly attended game or series of the year. This Tennessee series might rival it. Of course, you're going to have the defending national champs in town. You're going to have Tony V in town. Fayetteville's going to be rocking. That's going to be a fun place to be. Y'all remember when Arkansas beat Florida in 2021? They swept them, I believe, to finish the regular season. And it was like first time that you had 100% capacity at Baum. Arkansas was number 1 in the country. Just everything was buzzing. It felt like a moment in time. And they, of course, clinched the SEC title that weekend. I think it's going to have a similar feel when Arkansas hosts Tennessee, where it's just going to be like, there's going to be a buzz in Fayetteville. People will be so excited about this Razorback baseball team. Hopefully everybody will be listening to the Baumbastic podcast and will be like, man, you hear what Andrew Ellis said? He thinks this team's going to win it all. You know, all that. It's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be just an electric atmosphere. I don't know if anybody would beat Arkansas in a series with what this atmosphere is. I'm projecting it to be. I have Arkansas winning this series 2-1. Similar to the Texas series, I thought about going sweep because I just really think it's going to be, you're going to be walking into the Lions' den when you come into Baum Walker Stadium by this point in the season. But I have Arkansas winning this series 2-1, finishing the regular season 20-10 in SEC play. Is that optimistic? I don't know. Maybe it is. I could argue for a few more wins here or there, whether one of those road series, maybe you sweep one of these home series, maybe you sweep Ole Miss to start the year. Like, if you want to make the case for Arkansas to win a few of these other games, I'll hear you out. No doubt about it. I can also hear the case for, hey, are you sure you're going to win all these series at home? Are you sure? I'm not. It certainly wouldn't stun me if A&M beat Arkansas in a series, if LSU beat Arkansas in a series, if Tennessee or Texas or whoever. So, I mean, look, you can kind of argue, and I'm sure some of you guys will, wins and losses down the stretch. By the way, I should have mentioned this at the top. Arkansas's SEC records since 2016, Arkansas goes 7-23 in SEC play. That was the disaster year, the one bad year in Dave Van Horn's tenure, the 1 year Arkansas didn't make the NCAA tournament. I've always said since then the program just took another step up. Since then, Arkansas has gone 18-11, 18-12, 20-10, 22-8. 18-12, 20-10, 20-10. So pretty consistently in that 18-20 win range. Of course, the 22 wins in 2021, have not won fewer than 18 SEC games since then, which is just a freaking remarkable feat, man. Like, I'm not saying it's going to last forever. I don't want that to be lost on y'all, like how special that is. Like, whoever you think the best program in the SEC is, whoever you think the best program in the country is, has not done that. Just simply has not won at that consistently of a rate. Of course, it doesn't mean anything even win the national championship. I'm not trying to argue for you. You should be more happy about that than like winning a title. I'm not saying that, but I think it should be, Arkansas should be commended for just how consistent and how high their floor has been year to year. And so again, I have them going 20-10, which is exactly what they've done the last 2 years. So maybe I took a little bit of a cop out. I didn't necessarily intend to do that. I honestly just picked the games in the series how I thought they would play out. But basically, like I said, anywhere from 18-22, that's where Arkansas has been in terms of win total in the SEC. I have no reason to believe they won't be right there in that same range. Maybe even better. Who knows? Will it be a dream season in Fayetteville, regular season? I think you guys would be more happy if Arkansas won the national title than if they won 23 SEC games. But that's what I got for you guys. That's how Arkansas's SEC record I see playing out. Here is, by the way, the list of what I had said there. If you wanted to screenshot that for later and throw it back in my face when Arkansas stinks, whatever, you can do that. Or you can screenshot this and say, Andrew, we went 25-5. You're an idiot for predicting them to go 20-10. I'll take that as well. Whatever you want to do, but that's kind of how I see SEC play playing out. Again, guys, let me know if you're like really like, Andrew, we need to hear the non-conference. How will this team fare against Portland? I'll do it. But like, I just kind of felt, I was like, I'm sure there's some people that don't even care about this. They don't even care what Arkansas does in SEC play. They just want to see what they do in the postseason, which, I think the postseason is going to go well. I think Arkansas is going back to Omaha. That's the standard. If your season ends in Omaha, that's the goal. And I think Arkansas will get back to Omaha. Of course, I want to wait and see what the tournament draw looks like, what seeding looks like. I expect Arkansas to be, if they're going 20-10, they will be a national seed once again. They will be hosting, so they'll have to face their demons one way or the other. But I don't want to I guarantee Arkansas is going to win the national title. I got to see other teams play. I got to see how the draw looks, all that. But again, I hope you guys we'll accept these predictions and mull them over. See what you think. Let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Cannot wait, man. One more sleep, and we will be watching Arkansas baseball play tomorrow. 2 games, and we will be watching them together if you pull up to the Baumbastic watch party. It's been a great edition of the Baumbastic Podcast. I will see you guys tomorrow. I better see you guys here. I better see your comments in the comment section. You better be pulling up to the Baumbastic watch party. You don't have to be here the full 6 hours. Just pop in when you can. And we appreciate it. Appreciate everybody for the support as always. Give this episode a like on your way out. It really helps the algorithm. I will see you fellas tomorrow. Let's win.